When it comes to thumbnail design, even big YouTubers struggle to make sure that they get a hit with every episode. And one of my absolute favorite creators, Coffeezilla, has some spectacular thumbnails, some absolute bangers, but has also had a couple of clangers. And in this video, I want to jump into a new series, a new format called Banger versus Clanger. We're going to take two different thumbnails from the same creator and figure out why one did so well and one did so poorly, relatively. Hey guys, welcome to Hassett Studios, a channel that I'm going to be using for my behind the scenes studio work, but also just to look at content creation and YouTube in general because I love it so much. If you're new here or if you don't know me, I am Jason Hassett. I'm a documentary filmmaker. I get a lot of hassle about that in the comments, but I've had videos on YouTube that have gotten millions of views, as well as an Amazon Prime documentary. It's also available on Tubi, I believe, and some other lesser known streaming platforms. And I just love creating, you know, I work with other YouTubers as well. And I just love creating stuff and trying to do the best with it. And I find it fascinating to look at data and analytics and so on. So I want to turn this channel into kind of a semi behind the scenes look at what we do at Hassett Studios in terms of production on our different channels, but also just as a content creator to give my opinions and maybe help some other content creators out there with everything from design to video editing to content creation to how to, you know, film and build things for the least amount of money, which I know a lot of you love because I love this industry. I thought you would too. But today we're going to look at two different thumbnails from Coffeezilla. One of them that was an absolute banger and one of them that was an absolute clanger, and see what we think of them. And we're going to be using our new tool here at Hassett Studios, which is Check My Thumbnail, to give a run through of what it thinks I'll add to it and so on. And if you're interested in that, you can sign up for it at checkmythumbnail.com. You get a 3-day free trial. You do need to sign up with PayPal or something to get the free trial, but you can cancel at any time for if you're interested. So I'll put the two full analysis from Check My Thumbnail in the description below in case you want to look at the thumbnails and what the feedback is done here. But we're going to start with the clanger. This is an 8 out of 10, I believe it was, on Coffeezilla's channel. Still a relatively good video, still I think hundreds of thousands of views. But just to go through it in terms of why I don't think it did that well. Now, before even looking at the thumbnail and title on this one, if I can be honest, you can immediately see why it's not going to do as well as some other videos just in terms of topic before we even get to the thumbnail itself. Like Argentina, obviously his biggest audience is going to be US, UK, English speakers. So doing something about Argentina is immediately less popular unless it's a real thing that kind of, you know, I don't know, if it resonates in some other way. And then, you know, because of that, even though I believe on the right here beside Coffeezilla, that is Argentina's president, it does immediately give me the thing of like, well, who is this? I think it's Argentina's president. I could be wrong. And then on the left, fair enough. You could assume that's the guy who came up with this meme coin. But yeah, I think that's my immediate kind of thing there of taking away is like, you know, I don't know who these people are other than Coffeezilla. It says insider trading, which immediately makes me think like if it's insider trading, I want it to be about someone I know. And before I even read the title here, I'm just immediately thinking, well, insider trading, you know, who is the person that's insider trading? I don't know either of those people, so I don't really care. Then you get to Argentina's meme coin disaster is worse than you think. I have no reference point for that. If it's worse than I think because I don't think about it. You know what I mean? So that kind of statement is worse than you think is one of these things that gets thrown around on YouTube a lot. Again, I'm not trying to dig Coffeezilla here. I'm just giving my opinion. He probably knows a lot more about this stuff than I do, but you know, just as a creative, just giving my opinion. I don't want to bash anyone here, you know, but yeah, insider trading, I don't know, just is worse than you think is kind of, it does nothing for me in terms of that because it's like Argentina's meme coin disaster is worse than you think. You know, if this is a second part in a series and the first part did really well, then that makes sense. If this was a standalone video, which I think you should kind of, just given how YouTube's algorithm work, probably treat every video as a standalone video because you don't know the jump-in point. It doesn't work because I have no reference point. Like worse than I think could mean, you know, they stole $1,000. or it could be $1 billion. I don't know. So that's the first thing that stands out to me. In terms of just design and stuff, and I will go through what the tool feedback is in a second, but another couple of things here. Insider trading is off center, which just kind of bugs me. And also, if you go for that kind of symmetry of the two people left and right, and then don't line up the insider trading part as well, it can make it less cohesive to like pull someone's eye in as well, because it doesn't look as good. The other thing too is that I think the colors haven't helped here either. I think that blue and white kind of mixes in too much with Coffeezilla's white top. Again, it doesn't give as much separation. I think some shadowing behind Coffeezilla to give a bit more separation, and then behind the two guests as well, would really help here, because I just feel like the colors, like, I think it's a good looking image, right? But the problem with YouTube is a good looking image is not necessarily a good looking thumbnail. And you really need to have like separation. So at the very least, you want to make sure, because these two guys and because this story isn't a worldwide incident, you want to keep Coffeezilla pretty much separated, so that even if I see this and I'm like, oh, I'm not really sure about this, I see Coffeezilla and go, right, if I'm a hardcore Coffeezilla fan, I'm watching this straight away. But because of, if this is on a small screen, there's not that much separation, he can fade too much into the background. And yeah, then the blue also, just in terms of emotional color, I get why it's there. It's Argentina, obviously, but it also doesn't lend itself. I would personally change the glow around insider trading to red or green or something to really offset that, and make it stand out. There's just nothing here that immediately captures my attention. The algorithm, how the algorithm views your image, which is, this is basically what the Check My Thumbnail tool sees. So this is to try and represent how YouTube sees the thumbnail, to give you an idea. The thumbnail features 3 men, each displaying distinct facial expressions. The man on the left, wearing glasses and a black shirt, has a serious expression and raising his finger, suggesting authority or warning. The central figure, dressed like a white shirt and suspenders, looks shocked or concerned, which adds an emotional weight. The man on the right, dressed in a suit, has a stern expression, contributing overall tension. The background is a gradient of blue, which creates a cool but serious tone. And the overall composition is slightly cluttered due to 3 faces competing for attention. It's given it a 65 score with a 7 CTR and 3.5 at wide range. Let's just flick through some of the stuff here to see if any of this resonates with me. So, yeah, the expression concerns conveys concern or authority, but the mixed emotions may confuse viewers about the video's exact focus. Kind of agree with that, I guess. Yeah, I can see what it means. It looks like he's hunting him down and he's shocked about it. I guess that is the emotion I take away from it. But yeah, I think it's like the reaction is more what I'd be interested in. It says key terms are present but could be clearer. I think that's the case for me as well with the red writing. Keywords: Argentina, meme coin, disaster, and worse are power words that are in there. And it's saying meme coin crisis and so on. Let's see, in terms of just the thumbnail impacts. Yeah, the title hints at a serious issue but lacks urgency. I would agree with that. I think there's not enough oomph to kind of pull me in here. And the trends are kind of relevant but need stronger emotional hook. And the design is somewhat clean but lacks contrast in the text. Expressions are engaging, but the overall layout feels cramped. And the colors are cool toned, which aligns with serious subject matters. Kind of going back to what I was saying, it's like there's not enough separation between anything. Some background notes and stuff here. And basically some notes for improvement on that there. Kind of everything I've kind of said and a little bit less. But yeah, text blends into the background. Yeah, exactly what I was saying there. And then you can see it like smaller. It's just like when you get to the smaller size here, it just doesn't stand out enough, So yeah, I think you can really see it in the contour map. Like you need more shading. Everything kind of fades into the background here. You can really see that. And then this insider trading thing, that not being centered kind of annoys me. As for accessibility, again, fine. Color blindness and so on. It's a fine thumbnail. But it doesn't stand out to me enough, is basically what I'm saying. I think it just needs more separation, more color contrast. There's just not enough of that in there, personally, is what I'd be thinking. And that video, I believe, was an 8 or 9 out of 10. for Coffeezilla, whereas this one was a 2 out of 10 and kind of flies in the face of some of the feedback from before, which is like there's too much going on in the background. But here it's done really well. So the first thing is, you can immediately, this stands out, right? So you've got Coffeezilla right in the front, very big and like much bigger than anything else in the background. He's dead center. Even in terms of the color, everything else is kind of dark or colorful. He's strong, kind of white with a kind of dark side here and very highlighted on the other side. So he's got nice contrasting tones on his face. He's got shadowing behind him. He really stands out from the background. And if you're a fan of Coffeezilla, immediately you know this is a Coffeezilla video. Coffeezilla is front and center. And also, importantly, he's right there. And then you've got two different groups of people behind that you're going to know. So you're picking two people there, one of which everyone will know. Basically, you've got Drake, I believe it is, on one side, and Joe Rogan on the other. So if you're into music, mainstream pop, that kind of thing, you know, straight away, you're getting Drake here and some other guys behind who are obviously also people I'm too old to know. And then on the right side here, you've got Joe Rogan, Kevin Hart, Theo Vaughn, comedians, podcasters, you know, people that will stand out. So one of these two groups is going to catch your attention. Very well done, very highly contrasted, but keeping them all, you know, similar in space. So it looks like they're kind of really there to the eye, just catching it straight away. And then on top of that, you know, you've got the logos, which add the color to it. They really stand out. So you've got Coffeezilla. You'll either immediately see Coffeezilla, Joe Rogan, or Drake, or go through them in that order. And then you'll see straight away DraftKings, Stake, FanDuel, Polymarket, and immediately, without even looking at anything else, you're going to think to yourself, oh, a video about celebrity betting scandals. Straight away, it tells everything you need to know. If you're interested in that, you're going to click. If you're not, you're going to scroll on, but it's got you straight away. And that is why this title can be so on the nose, because the story is there straight away. You've got exposing the gambling epidemic. Nothing more needs to be said. That, you know, gambling epidemic. Okay, I knew this was about gambling. I didn't realize it was an epidemic. You know what I mean? Like, this doesn't tell me anything. Like, if we look at the last one, right? The last one kind of said more about what this was about than this one does in the title. And if you're sitting there going, well, but the other title you said was bad. Right. But the point is, this tells me everything I need to know through the images. I know it's going to have some kind of roughly shady platforms, because I know DraftKings and Stake they haven't got the best reputation, but these are big name celebrities that I know straight away. So, and then I know Coffeezilla does scams. So it tells me everything I need to know. So the title just needs to double down on that and kind of blow it up. So, okay, he's exposing something which Coffeezilla is famous for. Credibility is already there. I knew it was about gambling. I didn't know it was some sort of epidemic. This is going to be big. It tells me everything straight away. That works really well. The color contrast, everything there is just spectacularly done. And that's where I think sometimes you have the difference between a story sells itself and you're trying to sell a story. And the ironic thing is, with this story, he probably could have done a weaker thumbnail and got a 2 or 3 out of 10, you know, or a 4 out of 10 than the other one. Like, if he had an idea like this for the other one, that's where you kind of want it, because the topic does the heavy lifting. Anyway, let's quickly run through what the algorithm views. So the thumbnail features a central figure with a serious expression. Obviously, this is using some AI that we've built into this, but you know, YouTube will have a little bit more context there, because YouTube will know it's Coffeezilla. It will, you know, be able to identify some of these people and so on. But anyway, so it sees a central figure with a serious expression, dressed in a white shirt and black suspenders, indicating a sense of urgency or concern. Behind him, several well-known personalities, including a man with a beard and a necklace, add to the intrigue. Weird that doesn't know who those are. Maybe we'll fix that later on. And the background is dominated by bright logos of gambling platforms like Stake, FanDuel, DraftKings, and Polymarket, which are vibrant and eye-catching. The overall color scheme includes dark tones contrasted with bright neon-like colors from the logos, creating a visually striking effect. This gave it a lower CTR score than the other one, but a higher overall score. So gonna have to tell the developers to fix that stat, but the overall score seems to be higher. I would give it a 90, to be perfectly honest. The emotional impact, serious expression of the central figure conveys concern, which is appropriate for this. Exposing the gambling epidemic, unmasking gambling issues. It hasn't really got that right there. Another thing to fix. But anyway, it's got the rough idea. Exposing, epidemic are the power words, keywords, gambling, exposing. Basically, it's saying that it could be improved with stronger keywords. I'm not too worried about the keywords in this one. You're looking at browse score, first of all. Something maybe we should know in the tool. We'll develop this with your feedback later on. This is an in-house tool we've developed here at Check My Thumbnail at Hassett Studios. You can see everything is perfectly aligned here in the centering. And even if you were, for some reason, to have this cut off on, say, an external site or a share or whatever, the key elements are still there. Joe's still there. Drake's still there. FanDuel, DraftKings, etc. Viewers may wonder about the specifics of the gambling epidemic. Again, I think that's another thing we should tweak, because that's great. Like if the thumbnail is good enough, that's what you want. You want them to wonder about the specifics of this, because then they're going to click the video to go into it. You know what I mean? So background notes, it does say it's a little bit crowded, but again, I think that works in this one. I think for some of them you can overdo it, but no text visible needs overlay. Again, I disagree with that. So some of this I disagree with, and this is all good feedback to build back into the tool. But add a bold, readable text to emphasize the title's urgency. I disagree. I don't think this one needs anything. Good contrast between the background and central figures. Yeah, you can even see at small scale here. This is such a good thumbnail. Absolutely fantastic. The contour map as well. Like, obviously there's not as much shadowing, but look at you can make out everything even when it's black and white there in this low resolution. You know what I mean? That's a good thumbnail. And then perfectly kind of symmetric, nearly. And then, yeah, even to colorblind, I mean, it's still, especially for someone who is colorblind, like I'm not, but that's still going to stand out. Like if you're used to seeing the world that way, it still is separated enough that you can make things out. And then, yeah, it stands out on every single platform. I think that second thumbnail is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, 2 thumbnails there. Hopefully you can kind of get some ideas on what works and what doesn't, maybe an intrigue into it. Please submit some thumbnails you'd like me to go. This isn't going to be the only series on this. I want to dive into a variety of things, as well as some behind the scenes of creating like new documentaries, how we produce content, how we set up different things, the podcast, Jason Hassett Show that we're running, and so on. But I wanted this to be kind of a place where I can just kind of talk about creative in general, and do some more stuff like that. But hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and welcome to Hassett Studios. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for watching. Before you click the next video, check out shop.hassettstudios.com for some exclusive merch that'll be added to every single week. Thanks for watching. Bye.